Hi, it's Adrienne Oliver with the Adrienne Oliver team. I'm here to talk to you today about market rent. What does that mean? How to determine fair market rent. So basically there's a couple factors that we use to determine what market rent is. So Bigger Pockets define market rent as how much you can rent a property for at any given time, right? The amount is determined by how much renters are able to or willing to pay in your area. The best indicators is what other landlords are charging for rent for similar properties. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, estimates fair market rents annually. They look at rents across the country. So that's a good place to start your research if you are trying to figure out what market rents are, if you are a tenant or you are wanting to become an investor landlord. If you have anything specifically, I can always run specific numbers for a specific property. What is important for landlords to determine market rent? So for landlords who already own the property, determining market rent will help you decide if you should increase your prices. Raising rent too high above market rent can extend vacancies and leave you covering the mortgage on an empty apartment for several months. So sometimes we have investors who, want a certain amount of rent, and basically what that means is that they're going to have to cover the rent for an extended period of time, extended months, or they could lower it by $200, maybe, eat a little bit portion, but it would be less than what they would normally do. So you also have to include your own expenses, so property taxes, basically all of those things. If you have any employees that do property management or anything like that, raising rent might be the right way to do that. It's something that you want to consider at every single lease renewal. It's also important to kind of look at forecasts, right? So if you look at forecasts, you'll see that average in the United States was forecasted for this year to be 1.7% increase. Houston itself was 1.5. But if you look at places like Chicago, their rent actually decreased by 1.5. So if you're looking for new properties for a rental investment, having an ideal market rent can help you calculate your cash flow, and you have to also factor in your upfront costs. What factors influence market rent? It's important to keep in mind that especially in the city of Houston, it will widely vary from one person to one person. So what we've been seeing a lot in Houston generally is that the suburbs rent is going up and the rent kind of in town, because people are not commuting, is going down. So you also are going to look at location, right? So the reason that they went up and down is because of, it became less desirable and more desirable. Suburbs in Houston have a lot more space. The amenities. So that's another thing you have to look at when you look at market rent. Space, square footage, bedrooms and bathrooms, and then you calculate basically with similar properties. We can do that for you. And that's about it. So that's a little bit about how to calculate fair market rent. This is helpful if you are an investor or going to be a tenant. If you have any questions specifically about what rent you should pay or what rent is going for in a certain area, please contact me. My cell phone number is 832-217-7141. Thank you.